Hi, everybody. Welcome back to On the Roof. Today we have a guest that I've, again, been waiting to have on forever. A fascinating story that I want to get into with him, and a music career that's basically unparalleled. I mean, he's been in the music business for quite some time, on the top of his game from beginning to end. And with that, I'd like to introduce my friend and musician and activist and caring, loving person, and he's the best, Jamie Glaser. Welcome, Jamie.
Hey, Scott. I was going to write a new theme for On the Roof. But
Go ahead, do it live. Go ahead. See what you got.
On the Roof. I'll have to think about this. Anyway, I'm some funk. How you doing?
Not to put you on the spot.
No. It's cool. I've been waiting to hopefully be on your great show for a while. I mean, you on Facebook, I see that you announced that it's on, and I run to YouTube to watch the shows. The way you have been with your guests intrigued me. Before I was friends with you, even I met you at a show, but I'd watched your shows and listened to your interviews, and I thought you must be some incredible musician. You always know the right questions, but more than that, you make the guest feel really comfortable. And then now that I'm friends with you, it's a whole different thing because I'm always comfortable with you. But having being in the seat where people interview me all the time, I was telling you a little story off the air. Sometimes the host does not make you comfortable, and you got to you got to step up your game. What's happening there on the roof?
Well, first of all, I am so not a musician. I told my friend Adam, if I sing in the shower, the water stops. It's brutal, and yet I can't stop myself. So I try to. I'm obviously isolated often.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but I love music and all kinds of music, and it's just always been fascinating to me the gift that a musician has and the ability to express yourself creatively in that in that way. It's just amazing to me. I'm blown away by it.
The music business has changed a lot, and there are 16-year-olds making EDM in their house, making more of a career financially than a lot of the people that I even came up with, and that's all good. I mean, I'm not from the old school. I think any way that you can make sound and music for the universe is great. To be honest with you, I'm doing better than I ever have in the music business, but it's not because of the music business, because of my knowledge of social media.
Right.
And I'm trying to help other musicians with that. But the fact that you love the music and that you support musicians is everything to me. Because quite frankly, Scott, if I were to be completely honest, and there are a lot of self-help people that say, do not be your uniform. Have you ever heard someone say that?
Yes.
I think one of my heroes, Anthony Robbins, I think I heard that first from him. And in my case, I think that's strange that my normal person is the uniform. Yeah. The musician is the real me.
But you're one of the lucky few, though. I mean, that can say that and be true to who you are.
The thing is, it's a feeling, I can't, I don't want to get too flowery, but it's like breathing. And sometimes when fans comment, they'll say, the guitar looks like it's part of you. That kind of comment. Yeah. That always flatters me the most, I think, because that's kind of how I feel. And, my dad was a songwriter, a lyricist. Tin Pan Alley style, and Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole, all about that, and listeners maybe do. And I heard music on it, but there was nothing else I ever wanted. I mean, there was a time I was in already been playing for crowds by the time I was in fourth grade. I was doing shows at the school, assemblies. Remember they had assemblies?
Yeah.
You know, and they say, "Oh, Jamie's going to play today." And, you know, I'd play a Beatles song, I'd play whatever. So I already learned at an early age about attention and how much I needed that and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I had decided that at third grade, fourth grade, that this was what I was going to do because I didn't feel worthwhile without it. And strangely, I got so into this that my father had to take my guitar away from me because though I was keeping my A and A minus at school, I wasn't interested in anything. I mean,
Right.
except playing. And of course, the old story you keep hearing, Scott. You know that I didn't go out and play sports. I know you're a big sports guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did, and that ended up a horror story. I'll tell you in a second. But I didn't play sports. I didn't go out. You know, I was in the Cub Scouts. I quit the Cub Scouts. I was in the Little League. I made it to the A's, and I eventually quit with the excuse to my father that, well, it's taking time away from my music.
Yeah.
You know, and so what I'm trying to get across is that I don't know, the music is nice, that it's a source of income, and it's a source of the attention that I need, but it's, for me, everything. That ends up a problem, too, sometimes, because I never feel good enough, of course, and I never feel like I've achieved anything, even though everybody else does, because I see this bigger picture that I haven't even touched yet, you know. So, but I want to, since you're a sports guy, I want to tell you a quick story about Coach Hunt. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
So, we're in high school. It's like, I could make this story 4 hours long, and I don't know would have the time for it. But before my mother passed away, she passed away when I was 14.
Right.
My family made me have a crew cut. You remember those haircuts?
Yeah. Flat tops.
Yes. Well, it was like I didn't have the flat top version. I had the other. They made me wear Buster Brown shoes and these pants from Lord & Taylor's. I don't know where they got the money, where they was like squares at the bottom if you turned up the pants. And I was the nerdiest freaking guy that ever lived. Meanwhile, all my friends, you know, I'm 13. So I'm trying to figure out what year that is. 1955 and what is it?
1968. You're right now.
68. All right.
Summer of Love.
Yeah. My friends, they have long hair and they're smoking pot and they're over here and they're meeting girls and it's like they're playing heavy metal bands and I'm playing like show tunes and I got a crew cut and I was like, and so like my mother was dying. And I found out what an a-hole I was, you know. I went over to my mother, Esther, in the hospital before she went into her coma. And I said, Mom, all my friends have long hair. Like, can't you tell Dad to let me have long hair, right? He says, well, Dad thinks that you'll become a drug addict if you have long hair and that you'll end up a hippie. I said, I promise I will not do that. So anyway, before my mother passed away, that was the last thing she did for me. She talked my father into allowing me to have long hair. And so the story goes, that part of the story is important because up till then in school I did okay. I was physically able to play at phys ed at school and all the rest. And then it was high school. And we met Coach Hunt, who was a sergeant in the Army, and he despised long hair. He hated it. So, I mean, he was like, he had no use for anybody. There were two people, me and this other guy. You know, he thought, this is the 60s. He thought, well, they're gay, they're this, they're that, you know, that whole mindset. So I decided, because I like to be liked by everybody, that I'm going to go halfway with Coach Hunt. So I bought those beaded headbands.
Right.
And I put it on. This was to become friends with Coach Hunt. And also so I wouldn't fail gym with phys ed.
The real story.
Real story. Anyways, Coach Hunt hated my freaking guts, man. He hated me. and he started to call me Pocahontas. This is in front of the class. And, you got to understand, I'm a guy who needs attention, who's already been validated for years. I'm already like playing gigs with pros by I'm 13. And this guy, I don't want to be doing.
So he's working the way you planned.
He starts with me like, you got to do push-ups. And then he made me run the track. And then one day he said, look, Glaser, you're going to become the ball. And he had the football guys throw me. I mean, this was off the chart. This is abuse, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
The guys, they
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the screen.
No, listen. It's not that far off the base, because as you were saying that, I remember Leonard Skinner actually named the band after their gym teacher, who was the same way. They had the long hair, and they actually named their band after this guy, right? And my dad was a high school basketball coach in Brooklyn at the time. The requirement to play, he played coach varsity basketball and baseball. The requirement to play on his team was a flat top.
Really?
I mean, without the flat top, it was a Catholic school, so you had that kind of control.
Oh, yeah.
No haircut, no team, man. That's it. No uniform. It was that plain and simple.
About a dress freaking code,
but Jamie, a lot of your story involves this PTSD thing that we'll get into in a minute. But my dad used to force these haircuts on me, and I was just like you, like the kids, they got hair and bell bottoms. I mean, this is not cool, Dad. I mean, this has got to stop. And I used to have to go up to like Ridgewood, and this was a long walk to these guys. They called them the 7 German barbers. We called them the 7 butchers, and I have to go up there and sit down, and they would like do it and shit, and cut it like down to, and then it's flat top, and I'd go home, and my father would say, "Not short enough, go back."
My!
I think I still have PTSD over this.
Yeah, no, I thought I was the only one that went through this,
Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not alone.
But I got him back. I mean, in my own head, I got him back. It was my senior year, and actually on Long Island, the schools had gone on an austerity budget, which was a great thing for me because there was enough support for the music program. So I was in the stage band, I was in the orchestra, I was in choir, and then I could drop phys ed, which I did, of course, drop it, but I still had my key to my locker. So I said, Coach Hunt made fun of me. He'll, and I've got this big ego. Like he's, when he comes to Madison Square Garden to see me play, I'm going to tell him off, but I wasn't ready for Madison Square Garden yet. So I went in, I got some salami, I got some Roquefort cheese, I got some other stinky stuff that I was reading about that would rot, and I stuck it all outside the bag in the locker. And I was a senior. Yeah. Anyway, I have, of course, friends at the school, and they told me that when school began again, they thought they were looking for dead animals. And they fumigated the entire locker room and all the rest. And they couldn't find these rats or whatever. Right. And it turned out they found my locker. And Coach Hunt, apparently, according to these people, I don't know, and he's passed away, and I can't ask, but he found this amusing that I would do this.
Yeah.
We all changed during the 60s. And there
so
were.
You guys bonded in absentia.
Yeah, no question. I mean, if it's true, unless my friends told me. But he says, Glaser got me back. So. I think it became because my personality is not one of animosity or revenge generally, and I think that there was some small part of him that understood, and also like I say, times were changing as there was many more people that believed as I did, who were more into music and hippiedom and against the war and all the rest,
Yeah.
At that time.
You've kind of said how much music meant to you. How much is music your identity now, as where you sit right now in life?
That's an amazing question, actually, to be honest with you. I guess I could sum it up this way. I have my best friend is my brother Randy, and Randy is 2 years younger. He lives on Long Island in Huntington. And he is a better musician than I am. He's a drummer. and he and I both went to Berkeley together, and we played in bands from the age of 12 or 13. And when he was playing at Berkeley, the greatest drummers that ever were to be watched him. There was Vinnie Colaiuta and Steve Smith and John Robinson. They would all go by his door while he's practicing. I mean, this Randy has a talent that's off the charts. What he did not have was a passion. Yeah. He hated bringing. Goodbye. He hated bringing the drums to gigs.
Yeah.
He hated packing his car. He hated unpacking. Now, this is interesting. After my father died, 1980 something, my brother never played again. His drums. He's been married now twice. Unfortunately, his first wife passed away, and he's remarried. And he's never played the drums for them. They both asked too. I've asked. I asked him to send me MIDI drums for my sessions. He won't do it. He's got no passion. Where I am in the exact same place I was when I was 9 or 10 years old. I can't do without it. So Randy calls me often. He's excited about retiring. He's excited about moving out of New York and having a simpler life and having his benefits and his savings. And I have that's as far away from me as Pluto is.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to play more. I've just accepted the first live gig situation. There's a guy named Bob Holtz. He's a drummer and a composer, and he has had a couple of records. The last one was Stanley Clarke and Randy Brecker.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's good music, really good music. He sounded me on Facebook. He said, "Look, I've been using the guitar player from the old band Spyro-Gyra."
Yeah, sure.
So he's not going to do it. He's on his project. I'm wondering if you're interested in going on tour. My record comes out in February. I said, well, I don't do live work unless it's Jean Luc Ponty. I mean, people call, but I don't do it. And there's a couple of reasons for that.
Yeah, well, can you get into that? Why
yeah. Of course, I'd be glad to if anybody's interested in. Well, I guess you asked me.
I'm interested.
But I mean, the passion for playing live disappeared a little bit when I started to make $175 a minute writing music for CBS television, which I now have over 80 compositions on there. Not that they're all playing at one time. But every 3 months, a nice big check comes, and I've been sitting in my underwear at 4 o'clock in the morning writing these things for ESPN or sports or the NFL or the PGA. And again, I think Ho-Chance is getting back at me from heaven because my main living is coming from sports TV now.
The irony in it all.
Yeah, well, it comes around, turns around. But so I didn't want to tour. I mean, because you have to get up at 4 in the morning, go to the next place, and like on and on. And I have 15 pets. So right now I have 14 pets. I have a world here, and so anyway, I make my living more from composing.
Yep.
And I'm happy doing it, and that's the main thing. The other thing, to be honest with you and your listeners, is I got tired of competing. There were not interviews, but reviews, critics, over and over and over, comparing me to Jimi Hendrix or to Al Di Meola or to this one.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me to seem to find my own circle. I had one critic when I was with Chick Correa hated me, and he wrote. Jamie Glaser bludgeoned. This is I don't know. Of course, I won't forget this. Jamie Glaser bludgeoned the audience with decade-old rock licks. I mean, when I read this, and I'm still sitting next to Chick Correa, the legend, jazz legend, I started to cry. I really was literally crying. I was crying for one because the guy thought I sucked, which is hard to take. Two, because I'm in a jazz band. The guy's telling me I bludgeoned the audience with rock licks. And another one is Chick Correa is about to read this, which shouldn't be really good for my gig, right? To my surprise, Chick took this review and ripped it up in front of me. He said, "You're in my band, and I love what you do." This is a gentleman, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It really treated me beautifully, I must say. You know, I must say he was great. But that was a great moment. So yeah, basically, I don't play live much at all. I mean, when I was in LA, I had done over 21,000 weddings, bar mitzvahs, and corporate gigs. And the day I arrived in Salt Lake City, I decided I was done.
Okay.
It provided $60,000 to $80,000 a year in a living, sometimes a little less, 50, whatever. But when I was a band leader in Los Angeles, it was very lucrative, very lucrative.
Right.
And when I got here, I said, you know, I got one chance at this lifetime. I have a degree in composition. I have thousands of songs, thousands of pieces. I need to see if I can make a living from this.
So is it like a challenge, you know, self-imposed challenge on your part?
Yeah, I think so.
See what I got?
But what happened was when Bob Holtz called, he hit the magic button. He's good, that's for sure. And then he told me that his manager was the same manager from Mike Stern.
Yeah, Mike
and
Stern.
Mike Stern,
yeah, sure.
Stern, my buddy at Berkeley. We played in every class together, and
Really?
we kind of crossed paths no matter what. I love him, he loves me, and I thought, okay, this is getting better. Then he says, okay, well, Stanley Clarke is not going to come on the road with us. He said, but Ralph Armstrong is. I said, Ralph Armstrong. For the listeners that don't know him, Ralph Armstrong was with Zappa on bass. He played with Mahavishnu Orchestra and a lot of Motown acts. And then for years with Jean Luc Ponty, in my greatest years with the band. When I joined the band, Ralph Armstrong was the bass player.
Wow.
So to be in a band 30 years later with Ralph Armstrong, who I adore, was it. I asked him a little bit about what the money was like, and, you know, everything was good. And I said yes. So anyway, the story is that after February, when his album comes out, I will be doing some touring with him.